We live in a dream world in which all our necessities are at our fingertips. The gig economy provides us with a way to commute from one destination to another, eat the food we like every single time, buy groceries, clothes, electronics, and many more. They can help you clean your house, give you a haircut, or a massage anytime you wish. So the gig economy is your maid, driver, and courier service all rolled into one. Welcome to the world of platform-driven gig economy.
हेलो भैया, आप किधर हो?
मैडम वो आपका लोकेशन है ना, वो मैप
हेलो,
प्रॉब्लम कर रहा है।
प्लीज जल्दी आइए। डिस्गस्टिंग। पता नहीं कहाँ से ये सब लोग आ जाते हैं। जिंदगी ने नरक बना दिया है आप लोगों ने।
$350 मैम।
300 पे कर रही हूँ, एक भी पैसा एक्स्ट्रा नहीं दूंगी। ठीक है?
शुक्रिया मैडम।
Informal employer-employee relationship, while providing a source of income, did not always fulfill the career aspirations of delivery agents and other intermediaries. Any training or upskilling is at best limited and very specific to the platform.
There is a need for the platform-based operators to, in some ways, act more responsibly by providing careers to these people rather than simply temporary employment, right? So they'll have to think about different ways to do that, including perhaps giving them a career path, transitions, upskilling them, and the like.
Very, very few platforms actually have envisioned some kind of career trajectory, created a route or created an option for gig workers to transition from, say, gig worker to an employee whose experience as a gig worker will actually count and actually then be able to also rise in their careers. So definitely platforms bear a responsibility here. But I think, again, platforms can do this very simply. Giving an experience certificate is not the hardest thing. So there is a short-term solution here. But the long-term solution is also to kind of think about how they consider their relationship with the gig worker. If they are invested as they currently are in thinking of the gig worker as independent from them with no kind of relationship to them at all, then it is very unlikely that they're going to think about creating routes for either career growth with the platform or creating ways in which meaningful partnerships can be established.
सर्टिफिकेट हम लोग को कंपनी प्रोवाइड नहीं कर रही। हम लोग गवर्नमेंट से चाहते हैं कि इसके ऊपर ज़ोमैटो, स्विगी ऐसे प्लेटफॉर्म्स पे हम लोग को जो है सर्टिफिकेट्स प्रोवाइड करें। तो जो 1 ईयर्स एक्सपीरियंस, जो 2 ईयर्स एक्सपीरियंस करके निकलते ज़ोमैटो, स्विगी कंपनी से, उन लोगों को जो एक्सपीरियंस सर्टिफिकेट प्रोवाइड करना है।
For our partners, we give them a app training, so app-based training before they go live on the platform. So we do spend a lot of money in upskilling our partners. In this session that our partners undergo, which anywhere is between 5 days for our regular partners or partners with experience to about 30-35 days for fresher partners, it has hard skill training, it has soft skill training, and it has app training, because once the partner goes live, he has to be able to use the app. So we have do-it-yourself flows, you have dummy flows, you have videos which explain how to use the app, and a considerable significant time is spent on that so that the partner is properly activated once they go live on the platform.
Unlike in traditional employment, where the employer determines the performance of employees, the fact that the performance of intermediaries like delivery partners was determined by customer rating added to the list of troubles faced by delivery agents.
To me, one of the things that is really kind of a bit of a worrying thing is this, that the workers' productivity or the workers' efficiency is not determined even by the firms. It is determined by the consumer. the consumer gives a thumbs up and says, okay, he's a good worker. So it becomes a difficulty for the worker to every time to perform in a particular manner that it has to satisfy the consumer. Is that what the worker should be doing? Yes, it is the worker. The worker has to do that. But think of it constantly being rated, and your wages or what you have to get as incentive or bonus or wages, whatever it is, it depends upon how many consumers you are able to satisfy. Right? That is actually, it's a problematic thing. One of the social consequences would be about future planning itself. How do we plan for your future in a gig economy? You don't know because how much to save. You don't know because you don't know how much job is there. You don't know how much to save for your future, for your children's future, for your family. You don't know how much to keep for this thing because you don't know whether you have a job for this thing. That's another thing. And also then time management. I mean, in a way it is self-exploitative. If you look at it, you are asking workers, you work more, you'll get more money, right? Who wants to work less? And I've seen workers, taxi drivers sleeping in the cars all the time, just waiting for the call to come so that they can move. It is self-exploitative. Now, if you ask them, do you want to work 24 hours? Yeah, if I have money, I'll work, right? Do you want actually people to work like that? You don't want people to work like that, right? There is something socially unethical over there. Even if you are not working, yes, but you are asking another person to work for another firm. Yeah, you have nothing to do with it. But as a society, it is society's responsibility that the workers in the society, not only workers, everyone has certain amount of basic biological requirements being fulfilled.
आप देखे होंगे फूड लेके आते ही आपके डोर स्टेप पे पहले स्माइल देके सर प्लीज़ रिक्वेस्ट सर 4+ रेटिंग दियो सर बोल के बोलता। पैसे 2 रुपये कम दिए तो भी प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, हाँ थैंक यू सर बोलता, मगर रेटिंग दियो सर प्लीज़ बोलता। रेटिंग के वास्ते एक डिलीवरी बॉय, एक ड्राइवर भीख मांगना पड़ रहा कस्टमर के सामने। इतनी बुरी हालत कर दी है कंपनी ने। तो ये चीज़ हटना चाहिए, ये चीज़ ड्राइवर्स पे, डिलीवरी बॉयज़ पे रेटिंग का प्रेशर नहीं होना चाहिए। इंसान को इंसान के जैसा ट्रीट करना, मगर इंसान को रोबो के जैसा ट्रीट नहीं करना। आप देखे होंगे 10 मिनट्स डिलीवरी, 20 मिनट्स डिलीवरी, कितने जने कितना प्रेशर में आ रहे।
Infrastructure bottlenecks made service delivery for some intermediaries difficult and the stringent quality standards hard to achieve, if not impossible. This was a problem, especially for a subset of intermediaries. For instance, the number of women participating in the gig economy is far from ideal, not just because of social constructs and patriarchal norms, are also true of participation in the gig economy, but also because structural and infrastructural problems are more pertinent to women. As a result, the promise of flexibility has not really enabled the gig economy to generate more employment for women, and the issue of gender pay disparity continues to linger even in the gig economy.
Randomly, I get a call from this lady and she says I have to go meet for the onboarding process to some place. She sent me the location and everything. And she felt the need to tell me multiple times that this is a job where I have to go on the bike and deliver food to people. I said, I know, that's I applied for it. So I showed up the next day, all men. It was all men. Even the people who were, on the other side, the ones who were doing the onboarding, even they were all men. 1 second, he gets up, goes to some other guy in the corner. He's laughing and asking him, "Yahan aurtein bhi apply karti hai kya?" I go inside and there are 3 managers, 3 of them are men. They took me inside, made me sit on a table, asked me if I want some tea, coffee, water, etc. And behind me there were 10 other boys who had come to the same hub, and they were all just made to sit outside in one place without any conversation, nothing. But I was getting nice special treatment over here. Now it felt wrong to me. It felt strange. It felt, how you feel, how probably an animal feels in a zoo. That's how I felt. The first time I went into a restaurant, it was a cloud kitchen in some building. Then the group of Swiggy boys just beating each other up, to get the order. And then the restaurant guy is looking at me and saying, I said order number this, and then he's like, 1 second. And he goes and gets it and gives it to me. So it was like that. I think throughout the whole time that I was working. After a point, the same restaurants got used to it.
So in a city like Bombay, Bangalore, it is cool to be delivery partner. I'm getting extra money, pocket money for, as I'm a student, I'm putting myself through it. It is no longer looked upon as, hey, you're a delivery boy. Something which the society has come to accept and the society has come to respect. Then the customers as well will probably be lesser price sensitive. They'll be willing to pay a higher delivery fee. The tips that they give delivery partners is quite on the higher side as well. But if you, let's say, go to a city like Baroda, right, where Baroda, it's more like, again, the culture again on all three sides are very different, right, because it's a smaller city. People, especially from delivery partners, they'll be like, okay, they will not wear the t-shirt when they leave the house or in their society or their neighborhood, right? They'll go somewhere and when they're far away, they'll put on their t-shirt because somewhere it is still there's a stigma that, hey, you're a delivery boy, right? So there you are dealing with those kind of, stigma, the cultural barriers that delivery partners have.
India's female labour force participation rate based on the latest data is about 25.1%. That's a pretty low figure for any country to have. And one thing that sort of baffles sociologists, economists sort of looking at this question is to really understand why, as the economy grows, as new kinds of work become available, why is it that we find fewer and fewer women engaging in forms of work, paid work, typically outside the house. So gig work is one amongst this new form of work that is available, but the low sort of participation of women in gig work is not exclusive to gig work. It's more to do with the nature of what is happening in the Indian labor market, really. There's been a lot of research on this, typically from a lot of, again, as I mentioned, sociologists and economists who try and understand this question. But increasingly, the explanation is tending towards social norms as we understand it, and the ways in which these social norms bind and tie women more to the sphere of the domestic space, to families, and to the kind of domestic and care work that they perform in an unpaid fashion within these spaces.
The reason I believe there is still stigma around the whole thing is, one, because it's considered a man job. Two, there is safety risk. Three, can a woman really do it? Because even in an interview they asked me, they're like, are you sure you can drive around all that time delivering food in the hot sun, in the weather, in this rain and that? Like, why can't I? How am I different from any other person that's applying? So these kind of things, when you're differentiated, when you're set apart for doing something that is so common, I don't think everybody wants to be that uncomfortable.
A depressing reality that there are far few women, despite the flexibility which gig work offers, entering the gig workforce than the fair share of women who would be eligible. That's not just true for ride-hailing, but for multiple gig platforms. And I think that's a challenge we as an industry need to collectively solve. And we also have a role where the wider ecosystem needs to come together. When it comes to ride-hailing, one of the biggest challenges is historically there are deep socio-cultural barriers which have existed in the society where stepping out, driving has been considered a male profession, right? I think we are beginning to cut through that. There are a few hundred women drivers on the Uber platform. I wish it could be a few tens of thousands.
I think most importantly is just, dissipating the stigma that, women can't or shouldn't work to earn for their families, right? And if you look at most countries that achieve rapid economic mobility, it's on the back of, two-member earning households, right? Not single-member earning households. And so if you've got both the husband and the wife working, right, you end up with, a household income that moves a lot more rapidly versus just an economy and a society that pushes only men to work and, putting women on the sidelines, right? So I think that's one social stigma that we can work on.
Overall, although the platform-based gig economy, because of the amount of experimentation with technology and business models, has created a lot of opportunities for its participants, there is also more ground to cover to iron out issues, to become a stable source of employment and business to its participants. Fixing some of these issues will be the key for the gig economy to become a significant source of employment for the participants and a crucial source of service for its consumers.